Hey guys, welcome back to the Stuff of Legend. My name is D'Lo, and today I have another special video for you. It is a theory video. Theories. I love theories. So, I have a theory for you about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. If you haven't seen the film, you're not going to want to see this just yet. Go see The Last Jedi, and then come right back here. And then we'll talk about my theory about, please don't watch if you haven't seen it, spoilers coming, be warned, Rey's parents. I want to talk to you guys about a heavily discussed topic, Rey's parents, but I'm not here to tell you who they are. I'm here to tell you who I think they are not. When I got out of the theater for the first time seeing The Last Jedi, I was pretty excited. Now, there was a lot in the film that left me bummed. There was a lot that I was disappointed about. There was a lot that I was really excited about, and there was a lot that I was super happy with at the same time. So there was tons of ups and downs. For me, the movie wasn't a complete win, and it was not a complete loss. A lot of people feel like one or the other, like they either love it or they hate it. That's not how I feel. How I feel is that there was a lot that was really good. And for me, a lot of that was what happened between Rey and Kylo, and there was a lot that was bad, but I'm not going to get into that. What I'm going to talk about today is Rey's parents. Everybody seems to think that the case is closed on Rey's parents, and frankly, this was not my impression watching the film. I saw it again, I got the same impression. I saw it again, and then after that I was like, you know what, I don't get it. Everyone's here saying she's nobody. That's not what I got from the film. So let's break into this one, okay? Some people think that when Kylo tells Rey she's nobody, she's from nobody, her parents are nobodies, they're losers, drunks and gamblers who sold her off for drinking money, and now they're dead, and they were nobody, and she's a nobody. A lot of people are just like, what? Oh my gosh, she's nobody, that sucks. They built this up for so long and left us hanging, and then this and that. There's other people that are saying she's a nobody, and that's great, that's wonderful, because they're gonna try to do away with the midichlorians. Anybody can use the Force, it's not just the mighty Skywalker bloodline, and they think that her being a nobody is wonderful. So there's people that think that her being a nobody is wonderful, her being a nobody is terrible, and then there's people like me. When I came out of the theater, neither of those things are what I gathered. To me, it was obvious, but to all my friends afterward talking to them, I might be one of the few people that saw this, and it seemed so apparent and obvious to me the way that the storytelling went. So let me get into why I think what I think. I don't think that what Kylo said to Rey was true. I don't think that Kylo actually knows what happened to Rey's parents. I don't think he actually knows who they are. I don't think he knows what happened to her at all. In fact, I think that everything he told her is not true. But I also don't think he's lying. I don't think that Kylo is trying to lie to her about what happened to her with her parents. I don't think that's the case. Some people think when I tell them I don't think that's what happened, I don't think that what he said is true, they said, oh, so you think he's lying? Well, no, that's not what I mean either. What do you mean, Daniel? Well, let me break it down for you. Rey goes to Ahch-To to find Luke at the end of The Force Awakens. And in The Last Jedi, we pick up and she's holding a lightsaber. She wants him to train him, and then nothing. He doesn't want to do it. He's cut himself off from the Force. He's totally depressed. These are some of the things that I don't like about the film. But let's move past that. Rey, please train me. He says no. Rey, please train me. He says no. Train me. No. Train me. No. Eventually, he's like, all right, fine, let's give it a shot. He gives it a little bit of a shot. They go to the light side portion of the temple at the top of Ahch-To, where there's this little like yin-yang pond, and then there's also a rock overlooking the ocean and all that. She starts to connect to the Force, and she's feeling the light side. She's feeling the push, the pull, the warm, the cold, the light, the dark. And then she starts to feel the dark. And then she starts to feel the pull of the dark. She starts to feel it drawing her. And then she senses the dark side portion of the temple on Ahch-To. It's this little cavern at the bottom where Luke tells her not to go. She starts going there in the Force. Luke senses that and he's like, no, Rey, wait, Rey, don't, no, Rey, babe, babe. I'm just kidding. He doesn't say babe, but it's basically, no, come back. What are you doing? She's not really listening. He kind of snaps her out of it at the last second. And he's like, you were gonna do it. You were gonna go and you were gonna play with the dark side. You can't do that. And she's like, what? No, come on. No, it wasn't like that. I could feel it. And then he's like, no, I sensed this power once before. It didn't scare me then, but it scares me now. And that was part of the trailer. So she's kind of forbade to do that. And she's like trying to waver back and forth. Do it? Do I do it? Do I not do it? Whatever. She's kind of feeling this. she all of a sudden gets this connection with Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, and it's kind of behind Luke's back, but he's kind of starting to sense that something's there. You get Snoke. Snoke is the one that's putting that together, or so he says. Again, you can't really trust a Darksider. Just keep that in mind. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. He says that he's the one that put them together and gave them that empathic, telepathic link to each other so that they could communicate. Rey and Kylo start to connect and realize they're not so different, even though they're on opposing factions between the Resistance and the First Order. She eventually goes down to that dark side area in the island. She gets sucked in. She's down there. She sees this like crystalline looking wall. She goes over and she touches it. And then you know how like when you're in a bathroom that has like, you have the mirror here and then you've got a mirror that's on the right and then a mirror that's on the left, and then you get right between them and then you can look this way and then you see like a million mirrors that bounce back and forth this way. That's kind of what's happening to her there, but it's her. It's just her and they're all facing the same way. She raises her hand and it's all like they're mirroring each other by like a couple fractions of a second before and after. And it's kind of trippy, but you hear her thoughts. So keep this in mind. You hear her thinking to herself about what she's feeling. It's all about her thoughts and her feelings. It has nothing to do with facts. It's just feelings and thoughts. So she's saying stuff in her mind. She's thinking things like, I've never felt so cold. I've never felt so alone. Nobody loves me. I really am a nobody. You know, she's getting all these depressing, lonely, betrayed feelings of isolation and shame and rejection. And these are all things that come from the dark side. The dark side plays on your emotions and your worst fears, okay? So we know from the first film, The Force Awakens, and then also in The Last Jedi, what you learn about Rey in both of those, she's terribly afraid of being alone. She won't let go of the fact that she is hopeful that somebody is out there looking for her, coming back for her eventually, even though everybody else knows nobody's really looking for her. So she won't let go of that. She's holding on to that. And her greatest fear is that she is truly alone in the universe and nobody loves her. That's what it is. It's her greatest fear. And the dark side, what we know about the dark side is that it plays off of your emotions. It plays off of your fears and all of your emotions, anger, jealousy, greed, lust, pretty much like every sin you can think of. It festers those things inside of you so that you will reject the things that are good in pursuit of power and pride and status and the promise of something you can't actually obtain. Just like how Anakin was promised that he could save those he loves from death, as someone had in the past, Darth Plagueis, but he never got a chance to do that. He lost his mom, and then he lost Padme, and he lost his kids. Well, he thought he lost his kids. But that being said, that's what the dark side does, is it draws you in by amplifying your feelings and by amplifying your greatest fears to further draw you into its power, into the promise of something you can't actually obtain. Now, keep in mind, this is what she is experiencing all the way from the earlier parts of the movie to the final parts of the movie. You get to see Rey in this empathic and telepathic connection with Kylo Ren. So everything she thinks and feels, he is thinking and feeling just the same way that she feels everything he feels. That's why they were able to connect so strongly, was through the Force they were able to be bound in this way together. That's why he felt the rain from Octu, even though it wasn't raining inside of that battle station, and she could feel his thoughts, his fears, his worries, and all that stuff. So when they're face to face and they finally reconnect, he's trying to get her to come over to his side. And what does he do? He tells her that he knows her and that he knows what she's afraid to admit. He knows what she's not willing to say out loud, and he says it for her. And what that is that she is alone. She's a nobody. She's worthless. Nobody's out there for her. Nobody loves her. Her parents were drunkards and gamblers who didn't care enough about her, so they sold her for drinking money, and they eventually died, and they're not coming back for her. She's totally alone, totally worthless, and totally unloved. And then he turns that around and starts saying stuff like, but not to me. You are special to me. And then he starts trying to reel her in that way. But I don't think he was lying. I don't think that he was telling the truth either. And the only way this is possible is that Rey actually believes those things. Those are her worst fears. And when he had that connection with her when she was in the dark side chamber, or that mirror thing or whatever, the wall, and she was having that moment with the dark side and her worst fears were being amplified inside of her, and she was dialoguing that whole experience for us so that we could know what she was thinking. He was part of that. He got to know that. He knows her memories because they connected. And so he knows she grew up alone. He knows she doesn't know who her parents are, and he knows that she doesn't know anything about her parents. So for him to come out and say, I know who your parents are, there are these people, you know, it's like that's what she is worried about. That is her greatest fear, is that she is truly a nobody. So when I saw the film, that was obvious to me. I thought for sure, I came out of there and I was like, that is so exciting that they didn't really disclose who her parents are. And all my friends were like, but they said that she's a nobody. And I was like, well, no, they didn't. That's what Kylo said. But he believes that because they had that connection. And everyone was like, really? Is that what? I was like, am I crazy here? Am I the only one that saw that? But then as I would continue to talk with my friends about that, they were like, oh yeah. And I went and saw it a second time with someone else. And he's like, actually, yeah, I didn't think about that. He's like, that actually makes a ton of sense. Even though most people aren't so eager to jump to theories before a movie is coming out, like episode 9, we don't really know where they're going to go in episode 9. But I thought that was obvious. That was something that I saw and I was thinking, this is so cool. Because Kylo starts to empathize with her on the basis of her worst fears. And they get this emotional moment where he kind of explains to her, like, you're not nobody to me, even though he does want her to join his side, and it's kind of like recruiting. You know, he's kind of recruiting her in that way. You can tell that there is some sort of genuine feeling that he doesn't want to be alone anymore, and he wants to have someone there that understands him. So even if he's like totally crushing on her, or if they end up being some sort of like cousins or siblings, or she's a Palpatine and he's, you know, technically a Skywalker or a Solo, or she's a Kenobi, pretty much any of those things I would be okay with. I think that my least favorite of those is that if she was a Skywalker, I would be the least happy with that story. I think I would like it most if she was a Kenobi or a Palpatine, or if there was another character that we're familiar with but maybe isn't so big and they threw it out there. Maybe that individual wasn't necessarily Force sensitive but was around for the Clone Wars. I don't know. It would be cool to find out what they do with that. But that was my theory essentially. Not who she is, but who she isn't. I don't think she's a nobody. I don't think she is a nobody at all. I think that she is somebody. I thought they perfectly explained the fact that it was just Kylo experiencing what she experienced, which was her worst fears, not necessarily the truth. Again, the dark side of the Force is a lot of things. The Force is a lot of things, and one can make an argument about the information you can gain from tapping into the Force, but it's not this infinite well of knowledge. Okay, so it's like, the Jedi aren't omniscient. They don't know everything because they're connected to the Force. And that is not at all what happened there in the dark side chamber with Rey. She was narrating the whole thing. She was talking about her worst fears and how she felt cold and alone. That just made sense to me. That's one thing that I really liked about The Last Jedi, was the connection that they gave between Rey and Kylo and what they did with her and her parents, not disclosing who they are, but disclosing who she's afraid they are. So that was something that I thought was obvious. I liked it a lot. And there's other things that I like about The Last Jedi, but that was a theory / an observation. I'm not sure if it's a theory or if it's an observation. I'm pretty sure it's an observation, but I'm leaving it up to you guys to let me know in the comments what you think. Did you guys make the same observations about Rey and her parents and the scenes with Kylo and in the cave just like I did, or am I totally crazy and alone on this island? Who do you think her parents are? Is she a Skywalker? Is she a Kenobi? Is she a Palpatine? Is she a Palpatine? Or is she really just a nobody? I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to say about this. Let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been another theory video and one of the first videos about Star Wars The Last Jedi. Make sure to like this video if you like it, share it if you love it, and once again, make sure to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss anything that I upload, as I upload new content every week. Thank you guys so much for watching this theory video on the stuff of legend.